So today I wanted to do a video going over 5 things I want to see in BO6 Zombies. BO6 is around the corner, just a few weeks away, so I think it's a good time to talk about 5 of the things I hope to see in the Zombies mode, and I'm going to cover things that we don't know yet. So what I mean by that is, we know loadouts are returning, so one of my wishes isn't going to be, I don't want loadouts to return, because we know they're returning for certain. So with all that in mind, I'm only going to talk about 5 things that we're kind of uncertain about, that we don't know how Treyarch is going to tackle in BO6 Zombies. So hopefully you guys stick around for the ride, the 5 hopes, wishes, dreams of BO6 Zombies. Let's start off with wish number 1. So for wish number 1, this isn't a huge wish in the world. We're getting a new Zombies crew. We know that for certain. My wish is that this crew is actually interesting and fun and goofy, so a good balance, basically. Because getting new characters, or getting zombie-specific characters, that's cool and all, we didn't get that in Cold War, and it felt like that game was missing something, and that one of those things was having a dedicated crew to zombies that had interesting dialogue. And we're getting the return of it in this game, but that's the bare minimum. You should be happy about it, but we should expect more. The bar is set low. We need to expect these characters, the Terminus crew, whatever they're called, to actually have interesting dialogue. Not just from like a story perspective, but also, have a bit of flair, have a bit of personality, at least more than me. That's my threshold for these characters. Have something that makes these characters feel fun to play as. Because at the end of the day, my big concern is that they're just going to treat these characters very seriously, and I hope they don't go down that direction, because that would just be very boring. What made Ultimus work, or at least part of what made crews like Ultimus and Primus work, is that they did have a bit of humor. Ultimus definitely had that, even though a lot of times it was a bit cheesy, but still, it got you entertained, it got you interested in what they had to say and what they had to say next, and they're memorable, and it helps you endear to these characters, which I think is important from a storyline perspective, because characters are a great vessel to tell a story. If those characters are endearing, they're interesting, you want to know more about them, then that definitely helps with your interest. And I just don't feel like if they just make these characters boring, overly serious, it's not going to work. It's just going to be playing World War II Zombies all over again. If you remember, that crew was just god-awful. I'm not going to lie, they were just so boring. So hopefully, interesting, fun crew for BO6. Wish number 2, more interesting, fresh, new locations. The maps we're getting at launch for BO6 honestly isn't really exciting me, at least when it comes to the locations. Liberty Falls just looks like something you'd see out of Outbreak. I'm not the first to say that, but it's true. There's nothing really interesting or grabbing about the location. It's just the town in West Virginia. Maybe they'll include some facility portion of it. It's not going to make it that interesting, though, in my opinion, because we've seen facility maps over and over and over again. And same thing with Terminus. Terminus has more flair going on, for sure. It has more of a personality, but it does feel like, we've seen there. We've been to these types of locations before. It's giving off Zetsubo vibes. It's giving off Mob and Blood of the Dead vibes. This tropical island that is isolated, and you have a prison/facility. It doesn't feel fresh, it doesn't feel exotic. I want BO6 Zombies to explore new locations we haven't really been before, break those boundaries, go to the Amazon rainforest, go to, I don't know, the savannas of Africa, or do Atlantis, do crazy wacky locations. Okay, maybe not too wacky, but like interesting enough where the map feels distinct, feels unique, feels new, because after 16 years, I seriously can't take, any more facility maps, because you see the same things over and over and over again. One of the things I liked about the Chaos storyline was that it was pushing those boundaries. Hey, let's do a map in ancient Greece. Hey, let's do a map in some Roman Colosseum. Let's do some mansion map where there's werewolves, dragons, haunted mansion. They were doing some different stuff, and I wish Treyarch kept with that, even if it's a different storyline. For wish number 3, I hope we get more creativity when it comes to enemy types in Zombies. I feel like for a while now, we've been getting kind of like a copy and paste of the Brutus or Panzer or the Margwas in almost every map. Like, how many maps in Cold War now with BO6 we're gonna get the Mangler returning? I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Mimics return. We're seeing the same type of enemy types over and over again. It isn't like the same enemy returning, but it's also how, like, you know, Brutus or Panthers, these are enemies that are usually, you know, bullet sponges compared to the regular zombies, and they have a crit spot somewhere, usually maybe in their face or somewhere else in their body. Whoa. But, you know, we've been getting so many enemies like that recently, and it makes me think back to the days of Black Ops 1, where they were definitely more experimental with the enemies they decided to go with, or different enemy types. You had the Pentagon Thief. The Pentagon Thief wasn't there to hurt you. It didn't cause damage to you. But what it did, or at least in terms of health, what it did though was that it stole your weapon and ran away, and you had to chase it. It was a very different dynamic. And compare that to the modern enemy types, and it just makes the modern enemy types feel so boring. Like, okay, you know, I've seen this before. I've seen this reskin of the Panzer before. And it's not only that, it's also the fact that in, like, Cold War, they decided, hey, let's just introduce the Mimic in this map and bring him back in every map going forward. Or same thing with the Mangler. It's like, it makes the maps feel less distinct if they have the same enemies. So I hope they get more creative with it. You know, the Pentagon Thief, like I mentioned, or, you know, even something like the Witches in Buried that were, like, specific to a location. They couldn't attack you if you didn't enter the mansion. And instead of really causing damage to you, it just stole points away from you, which still does some negative effects towards yourself, towards your progression, because now, oh shit, don't have that points to spend it on Pack-a-Punch. They need to be more creative like that. They need to go back to the old school days to some capacity. And I'm not just some, like, old school fan that's like, bring it, we need Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2, 2.0. But what I'm saying is that if you do the same type of thing over and over again, the same type of formula, it gets boring. And Zombies wasn't built off being formulaic, it was built off of being experimental. So for my fourth wish, we're really breaking the boundaries of the Genie rules right here. I want to see more secret Easter eggs that impact the gameplay rather than, you know, storyline related. I wouldn't mind that either, you know, honestly, but I'm not a storyline guy. I prefer gameplay. I want to see secret weapons. I want to see secret boss fights. You know, I feel like there's so much opportunity to do all these types of things. I think Terminus would be a perfect map for that, because they're talking about how this map is so big, how you can explore different islands and stuff like that. I think we need, and they've talked also about having super or secret Easter eggs that you can explore, but we don't know what capacity it is and what exactly they're talking about. But I think back to maps like Dead of the Night, for example, which had these secret Easter egg quests, or quests you can do to get something like the crossbow, for example, which wasn't the main wonder weapon of the map, but it was still a unique weapon, and you had to, you know, kind of go out of your way to do it, which was really cool. Or think about Zetsubu no Shima, which had the spider boss fight. Now, you had to do the boss fight to do the Easter egg because you needed to upgrade to KT4, but whatever the case, it was still a boss fight that you can do without having to actually do the Easter egg fully. You just encounter it, and it's fun, you know. It's one of those things that they just never really did again, you know. It's like, I want to see more of that. Imagine that, you know, for example, in Terminus, you see that, like, squid tentacle monster thing that they show in the trailers. What if, like, and this is just like an idea, right? I'm not theorizing, but what if, you know, you're able to lure that creature to a specific island, and then there's, like, some wooden floor cabin thing that's, like, right on the coast, and the tentacle monster can, like, throw down its tentacles, you know what I mean? You know, it can smash you down, and if you're on the island and you're on that cabin thing and the tentacle smashes down, it just opens up a hole in the floor that you can go down, and then in there might be, I don't know, a secret weapon, a tentacle weapon, I don't know, something different. That isn't the wonder weapon, you know, something that's kind of unique. We need more of that type of stuff. If you get what I'm saying, you catch my drift. And for my final wish, this one's the most important, in my opinion. I want to see more map experimentation. So what I mean by map experimentation can easily be explained. Go back to Black Ops 2, right? Black Ops 2 Zombies. You had a map like Mob of the Dead. Mob of the Dead was crazy. It was innovative, and it really experimented with map-specific or map-unique features, like Afterlife. Afterlife wasn't in any other map in the game. It was only in Mob of the Dead. It was a one-and-done deal. Sure, you know, Beast Mode and Shadows is kind of similar, but not the same. Same thing with the generators in Origin, same thing with Arthur and Buried, same thing with the buzz system in Transit. These were map-specific mechanics or systems that made these maps stick out, that made these maps memorable, and to some degree, polarizing. But these were risks, and I think these types of risks need to be taken. Because going back and playing Cold War Zombies, one of the things I noticed is that a lot of these maps just blend in together. There are a few like map-specific features or mechanics that we see, like the Orda boss fight in Firebase C, but I don't feel like there's enough of those types of things to make these maps stand out. I want them to really think outside the box from a map-to-map basis, and this can include map-specific features. This can include things like weapon selection. What if for one map they're like, you know what, you can only use shotguns and snipers, that's it, you can't use any other weapon. It might seem crazy, right? I'm just throwing out an idea, but it's like, why not, right? Why not for one map just scrap the point system and replace it with something else? That was kind of the outside the box thinking that Black Ops 2 was like. And looking back, Black Ops 2 Zombies, as polarizing as it might be, gave us some of the most important maps in the mode's history, and we wouldn't be here, the Zombies mode wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the experimentation they took, if it wasn't for maps like Transit, Mob, Origins, that really went out there with certain systems, the buildable system, the afterlife system, generators, elemental wonder weapons, all of these types of things. You need that in Zombies, and I feel like that's been missing for a while now. So hopefully we get that. And that brings us to the end of this video. Hopefully, these 5 wishes happen. Maybe I'll check in this time next year. Hopefully they've been answered. I doubt Treyarch would be listening at all to any of this, but whatever the case, put it out there, increase the odds. So if you guys like these wishes, let me know. If you guys feel similar about some of them, let me know. If you don't, let me know, and provide your own hopes for BO6 Zombies, because hey, we're getting close, we're getting near to it. Anyways, see you next time.